Eric, you said you spoiled it in a good way, that it's a good movie. Here is a quick plot synopsis of Plan B. When a one night stand with her awkward neighbor is played by John, how do you pronounce it? Jon Heder?
I think so.
Yeah, leaves her pregnant, a young woman, played by Jamie Lee, decides to quickly sleep with a successful businessman, played by Michael Lombardi. Michael Lombardi, Eric Holmes, do you like him as an actor?
I loved him in Rescue Me. And
Yes.
it was like he played such a different character in this that
Hmm.
it took a while to adjust to it. Because in Rescue Me, he's the
The young firefighter, the new
yeah,
guy.
he Proby. He's the
Probably.
idiot that everyone picks on. And this one, he's like the strapping, handsome man.
It's
But
very interesting. Yeah.
we'll get to that. But
Yeah. So the young woman, she
yeah,
decides to sleep with this.
I do like him, is what it
Yeah.
comes down to.
Oh, very cool. So, yeah, she's a young woman played by Jamie Lee. She decides to sleep with a successful businessman and trick him, and possibly trip him, who knows, by telling him he's the dad of her unborn baby. This sets up sort of a love triangle because the awkward neighbor, played by Jon Heder, I think, looking from the trailer, he's making ends meet. He's sort of an Arrested Development kind of guy, Eric. I don't know if that's
He's
correct.
he's just kind of a nerd. Like
Okay.
he's got a band, he's got, job and everything. Like he's stable. It's just he's not exciting or like,
Yeah,
he's
make
not
raking in the bucks like the businessman, right?
he's kind of like I'm trying to think of a good example.
Hmm.
Like he's like JD from Scrubs,
Mm.
but like she's looking for like Brad Pitt from anything.
100%. Okay, cool. And so the ensemble also includes Shannon Elizabeth, Kate Flannery from The Office, and an actor, me and Eric, and I'm assuming Bruce loves, Tom Berenger. That is Plan B, like Eric said.
And
Yes,
and
VOD and digital, September turn. So yes.
Vernon Davis.
Oh, and Vernon
Ritual
Davis
Kill. And
from
by the way, Vernon Davis in this, I'm just spoiling everything. As
no, no,
far as
go
my
ahead.
thoughts on this, Vernon Davis is not in this very much. Dude, he is great in this.
Oh, okay.
He's like really charming, funny. I'm so glad that like just watching him like kind of transition from the NFL to acting, he's just killing it. And it's not going to be long before like he starts like he's been doing like a bunch of like these smaller movies. It's not going to be long before people figure it out and he's going to be like, just being like kind of like The Rock. Maybe not as successful as Dwayne Johnson, but I could easily see him just start like picking up actual like main roles, and then he's like he's no longer the football player turned actor. He's the guy that people like, ooh, let's get Vernon Davis. He's so good in this.
He was great in The Ritual Killer, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't even know it was him. In fact, I didn't even know it was him in this either. I
Oh,
just
that's so
watched it.
funny.
It was like, oh, this character is good. Who's that? Oh, Vernon. Jesus Christ. Vernon Davis in yet another movie. I didn't recognize him in.
So, Eric, your review of Plan B.
Yeah. So Piper is a piece of crap human. Gets pregnant by Jon Heder's character, Even Ebert. Didn't tell him, and is trying to make someone else think that they're the daddy. And it goes about as well as you think it might in a movie like this. I think where this movie kind of shines is that she's not really seen like she's the protagonist, but she's not. I don't think the movie sees her as a good person. I think the movie's fair in its assessment that she's kind of not a great person. But then that's the story arc we're watching. We're watching her, be a
POS.
yeah, there you go. It's a family show. It's hard to come up with words sometimes
Yeah.
that mean what I want them to. But yeah, she's a POS, but then we get to kind of watch her arc. So Michael Lombardi, he's like the handsome suave, like the ideal. In any other movie like this, he would also be the jerk. It's like, oh, she shouldn't be with him. She should be with Jon Heder. But Jon Heder is kind of a nerd, and like you get that too. Like the tropes in this kind of subvert themselves. The characters in movies like this kind of subvert themselves in this because they're not what you've seen 100 times. They're heightened because ultimately this is a comedy, rom-com if you will. but it's got that extra, puts that little extra stank on it. It's funny. It's sometimes you just want to you want to scream at Jamie Lee's character who reads through the screen and Joker going, "You evil! What the hell is wrong with you? Like you're not human. What the hell is wrong with you?" This is also like one of those movies where you have, it's the bomb under the table sort of thing. The audience has perfect information. They know everything. So now you're just sitting back and go, okay, the cards are all laid out on the table. Let's see how they play out. And then that's kind of the I guess the thing that kept me going on this. It's really good. Ended. I mean, the ending was probably a little sweeter than this would turn out in real life. But again, as far as movies in the romantic comedy genre go, this is really good and really fun and really aggravating at sometimes. But again, not aggravating because the movie's bad, but aggravating just watching the characters do the things they do. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? This is fantastic. I would recommend anyone watch it. And if if you're already in the bag for romantic comedies, you're gonna be all over this, like stink on poop. But if you're not in the bag for romantic comedies, I think this might be one to win you over. So normally this would be like a 3-star banger sort of thing, where it's like if you're into it, you're gonna love it. If you're not, then stay away. But I think people that are not into romantic comedies, I think they might get a little something out of this too. Now, keep in mind, if you're one of those people that's like, I hate the main character because they're a piece of crap. See, the main character is a piece of crap. I don't know what else to tell you. Like if that's your barometer for whether a movie's good, then you're probably going to think this one's bad. But if you like interesting characters that and you can roll with that sort of thing, I think that a lot of people are going to like this one. I hope a lot of people like this one. This one's really good.
Possibly another, possibly. Oh, you loved it. Possibly another gem found by the CinemAddicts Crew, courtesy of Eric Holmes. So. Okay, your rating.
No, courtesy of Brennan Timbury.
Oh, of course, of course. How dare we take credit? How dare I take credit for when I didn't direct it? Eric,
I had nothing to do with this movie. I just talked about it.
Yes. What is your rating, Eric Holmes?
I'm gonna go 4.5.
Wow.
This, and I think that, like, this movie's such like a cheeseburger of a movie. It's like not the kind of movies we usually come across. So this is like you'll watch a bunch of indie porn or a bunch of horror or a bunch of downers or whatever. Not that this is an upper, because it's certainly a dark comedy in its in its concept, but I don't know. That this was a breath of fresh air. I really enjoyed this, and 4.5 seems low. It could actually go up, but we're going 4.5 right now.
High marks from Eric Holmes. My goodness, he's very passionate about Plan B.